Okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the regular council meeting to order for May the 2nd. I would ask everyone to turn their electronics off, and if you do get an emergency call, would you go outside in the hallway, please? We have one council member that is missing, Councillor Steve Yorkman. His father is gravely ill, and our prayers are with him. Looking for any declarations of conflict of interest amongst the council members. This evening's agenda, no. We're looking for the adoption of the published agenda. Councillor Snively, Councillor Caxero. Questions? Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, I just want to note that I have 2 notices of motion for later on in the meeting.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Oh, Mr. Roger.
Your worship, I just wish to note as an amendment that under item 11F of new business, I've added and placed before council further reference a copy of the motion being proposed in connection with that new business item.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4 on the agenda tonight, adoption of minutes from the April 18th regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Snively, Councillor Vokes is the second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 5, we have a public presentation this evening. Mr. Harry Bergman, Chairman, and Mr. Mickey Mulder, Vice Chairman of the Canadian Transportation Museum and Heritage Village.
Welcome, gentlemen, and been here before, you know exactly what to do. Oh, could you just hand them to maybe Councillor Caxero? We got a new policy here. Okay. You know, Harry, the purple one on top should turn it on for you, eh? Yeah.
Is that on now? You can hear me?
Okay, Mr. Bergman.
All right. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to address the council tonight. Each councillor has been given a museum balance sheet dated March 31st. It's basically January to March to give you a better idea of where we're at. In addition, each councillor has been given a summary of the magnitude of the Canadian Transportation Museum and Heritage Village, which shows 35,000 annual visitors, 11,000 school children in our citizens education program, over 20 historic buildings dating from the early 1800s to the 1920s, including all period furnishings, a modern 25,000 square foot transportation museum, which acts as a repository of the history of our auto, parts, and machining industry in Canada South. The early history of flight, about 10 annual seminars on the early history of this entire area, over 20 annual events, 3 full-time administrators, 2 cooks in the 50s diner, 2 caretakers, 3 or 4 summer help students. And I want to first thank you for approving the $5,000 annual grant to the museum. This is much appreciated. However, our original request was for the annual grant of $25,000 to help offset increase in operating costs. Now, we've given you a little outlet here, a line of where it stands. And, you know, when you read these and what you know and you don't know, for instance, coming across under the 215 budget, let's go donations, cash receipted in 15 was $69,600. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But most of that came from a private lender who's no longer available, Mr. Don Beneteau. And 13,000 came from the Chrysler Corporation. Like, sometimes we get confused and you hear stories about where all this money comes from, but there isn't all this money. But anyways, coming down a little bit further, we show a total revenue in 2015 of $441,000, and we show total expenses of $428,000. But it doesn't show, and it's showing a so-called $20,000 profit. It's not showing things like, for instance, we're doing a makeup payment on our hydro of $790 per month. And these things go on, and without the private donation that we had gotten before, here we sit. And no, the $25,000 will not cure our total problem, but it will definitely help us continue. And that's where we're at. And, you know, we're just sitting there tonight. Mickey's from Tecumseh, I'm from Kingsville, and we're here doing something for Essex. At least we feel we're doing something for Essex and the surrounding areas. Maybe we blow our horn a little bit too much here, I don't know. But we're pretty proud of what we've established out there and what it does for this area. And we would hate to see it close up and go. But we are knocking our heads against the wall, and I don't think we can continue without your support. We definitely need the support of the town of Essex. And, you know, we've been there for over 30 years. We've never been back here begging for money. Here we are today asking if you can relook our situation over, reconsider where we're at and what you could do to definitely help us, because we absolutely need your help. That's short and simple. I can leave you with the rest of the papers, but yeah, we're sitting there. There is $5 million worth of assets out there, and if we give it back to the government, you know what they're going to do. They're going to take it, spread it out, and it's gone, and we're gone. And Essex gets nothing. And this way, we're just asking for some help. Yes,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor?
I have one question.
Yes.
Have you ever I can't remember you coming to the county for assistance?
Yes, we went to the county, and the county said they do not give any annual grants in any way, shape, or form. We met with them in December before we came here in the first place. And they said there's nothing they can do to help us out in that position. And that really, Mr. Mayor, that, you know, yeah, we're looking for help all over wherever we can get it, and there's no question. And, but we're making up, like, as you know, we missed a grant 2 years ago. And if you look back here and it shows in 2013, we were $40,000 deficit. In 2014, we were $21,000 deficit. You got to remember, we're still paying those deficits off. And that's why right now our cash flow is exceptionally tight. We have no debt. We haven't borrowed anything. We want to carry on, but we got to pay this off. We need help. I don't know which other way to put it to you, that you know, to all of you. I mean, we think we're doing a good job in the community, and we really believe that when you look at all the kids that get education out there and right down the line. And no, Mickey doesn't get a salary, and neither does Harry. It's strictly volunteers. I've never as much as got a tank full of gas from the village, because we don't do that. We're volunteering to try to make what is there. So if there's any way you folks can look at this and see, dig down and see what you can do to help us out so that we can stay there and continue. Yes, we have some events coming up in the summer, which will help the cash flow and maybe carry us through till fall or winter. But right now, we're desperate. And that's why I'm here tonight.
I've never heard anyone say anything bad about what you people are doing out there, for sure. Okay, I have Councillor Snively and Councillor Vokes. Oh, okay, Councillor Vokes.
Thank you. I got a question for council, and my question is this: if you were to give me $20,000 this year, $20,000 the following year, and $20,000 the next year, and I will tell you as a council, when we work so hard and so diligently on trying to find initiatives to bring people into our community, whether it's the harbor, whether it's the wineries, whatever it is, but I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to make you an offer. You give me $20,000, and I'm going to put in for you, I guarantee you I will, a multi-million-dollar facility with multi-million dollars worth of historical vehicles that will bring people to it from all around Canada, day in, day out. Are you interested? And then I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you that facility is going to raise, in a 2-year period, $180,000 for cancer research, and give it to the cancer research in the interest of curing people of cancer. And then I'm going to tell you that facility is going to take $50,000. You know what they're going to do? They're going to educate children in an educational program, in partnership, by the way, with every one of our local schools. And then I'm going to tell you, they're going to take another $50,000 and they're going to preserve and maintain over 20 heritage buildings and tens of hundreds of historical vehicles. And then something else they're going to do on our behalf, they're going to work in excess of yearly through their volunteer structure. They're going to work over 20,000 hours a year, keeping that place running for us. That's what they're going to do. And then on top of that, they're going to support many local charities. They do all the time, over and over and over and over again. And then on top of that, when the Jack Miner facility is in trouble, the ancestral home, and it's going to go under, they're going to step up, even though it's not Essex, they're going to give $100,000 to keep it going. So in terms, Essex is going to help Kingsville. $100,000. That's what them gentlemen have done. And now they're here asking for $20,000 from us. I think you know the answer. I think you know the answer, council. Those gentlemen can't walk out of here tonight without that money. You want to know why? Because 2 years ago, at a Christmas parade, prior to the parade, I approached my colleagues on council, and some of you may remember it, 2 years ago, and I said the museum's in financial trouble because they shared it with me. They were concerned. And then what they do, they brought their books into us and they said, open them up, look at them. We're not botching nothing. We're in deplorable condition. We need the money. We're going to go by there one day and the gate's going to be closed with a chain on it. And it'll be too late. We're talking about $20,000 on top of what we've given already. They can't pay their hydro bill right now.
No.
Their hydro bill's outstanding. They got no money to pay it. Now, just so everybody knows, they're upping up some shows more this year. They're going to try to work a little harder. They're ramping up. They're doing the cruise-ins. They're doing what they have to do to keep it going. But I'm telling you, people, thank you. I'm not going to say no more.
Councillor Vogt, or Councillor Snively.
Through you, your worship, as far as a museum, it's lovely. I've been there several times, and it is an asset for our community. But going back to what Councillor Vokes is saying, you know, we have a responsibility here, and there's been many, many people, and you have to understand, there's been many people in front of us. The youth center, we don't fund the youth center anymore. The youth center in Harrow, we cut the funding there. The teen center, we don't fund them anymore. I mean, I see where you're coming from, Harry. I see the need for the money, but, you know, there's a lot of organizations that come in front of us where, as a responsible council, you know, and here we're saying no to kids that's on the street. That really concerns me, but yet we haven't got the funding for that. So really, I don't know how we're going to fund it. Seriously. Thank you.
Just to answer that, Mr.
Okay,
Snively.
go ahead.
You don't really feel that 35,000 tourists, which we have all the records of, I mean, we're talking from Toronto, we're talking from England, we're talking from all over, that is a regular there, and it's affecting Essex, the town of Essex, and economic-wise.
Stop, right now. Harry, when you don't have the mic, I'd ask you...
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'd ask you to turn it off when you don't
Yes.
have it. You have it right now. But when you don't have it, keep it off. And we will not have a discussion back and forth. We just went through a big thing here. You come through the chair. We're not going to have big
Yep.
discussions. Like I've said, you've made your pitch.
Right.
Now, if you've got something that you don't agree with, yes, I'll recognize you, but just to say the same thing over,
No.
you know, we're not
I
going to do that.
apologize.
So, that's okay. You shut it off, I'll come back
Yeah.
to Councillor Snively and we'll get back. Councillor Snively?
Your Worship, just quickly, I know what you're saying, Harry, but we're not talking transportation to get out there. We have kids in high school that haven't got transportation, so when they leave high school, they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go right now in town here, and that really concerns me. It concerns me here and in Harrow.
Okay, I have Councillor Vokes and then Councillor Caxero.
Thank you, Worship. Look, in all due respect to Councillor Snively, I got to clear the air. Because there's a significant difference between supporting the youth center, which is really an association of the town of Essex, and a nonprofit organization as that. There's a huge difference between tourism aspects and values, because if that's the case, if what you're saying is meritable, then I would suggest as of tomorrow, this council concludes any money going to the harbor. This council concludes any money going to the wineries. This council concludes anything we do in terms of tourism. If we're taking that stand in terms of we're letting youth centers fall, and I was a board member of the youth center, I know how it felt. Right? So with all that being said, then if we're going to be true to that as of midnight tonight, we should stop donating any terms or any funding to anything that relates to tourism, because that's what that place is. That's what that place is. We can't pick and choose. And by the way, they're a nonprofit organization. The youth center is not a nonprofit. It is not a nonprofit organization. It's not even registered. It's a youth center. There's a big difference there. There's a huge difference, and you can't compare that. That's not a fair comparison, by no means. And again, people, it goes back to the $20,000 to bring hundreds of thousands of people into our community and leave hundreds of thousands of dollars behind. You heard the stats, that $180,000 for cancer research didn't happen by mistake, and it didn't fall out of the sky. It was work of those people right there who got that money. And if this council doesn't support those type of initiatives, then we better revisit what we're doing.
Okay, I have Councillor Caxero and Councillor Bondi.
Through your worship, the funding that you used to get from the province, was that applied for again this year?
Yes, it is. It's in the process of being applied right now. We never find out about that until October, whether you get it or you don't. Now, we didn't find out we got it until December the 20th, I think, when we got a call that it was finally approved. But as you know, the year before wasn't. So that was $29,900 we didn't get, and we still have to make up.
Yep.
If I could continue. You'll hear later on, Councillor Vokes, I'm absolutely a supporter of tourism. I went to the conference, and you're going to hear a report back from that conference. And you're going to hear the importance of generating tourism and the fact that it's the biggest economic driver. You're going to also hear that a big interest of people that are seeking out where to go as far as tourists, heritage, history, arts and culture, that's what they're after. My issue is, when it comes to museums, such as healthcare, and this is the problem, this is the difficulty that I have. Certainly, we want to take care of our own backyard, absolutely 100%. But museums are a function of the province, and certainly if the delegation wants to correct me on that, but I believe I'm right. Museums are run by the province, and they're supposed to be funded by the province. Now, the province isn't stepping up, as they aren't stepping up when it comes to healthcare. We've dealt with that with regards to the nurse practitioner in McGregor, and education is another one. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, are we going to fund that also? So, I absolutely 100% will say that absolutely that's a cornerstone for our municipality. 100%. From a tourist aspect, we do not want that thing to fold. It's wrapping my head around funding, and we already are, by committing to 5,000. We already have said that we are going to do it, just to a lesser degree. But it should be a function of the province, and this is the problem. And I mean, I wish the province would do their job, basically, is the unfortunate part about it. But I 100% agree that the value is there. It's unquestionable value for our municipality.
Sure. Councillor Bundy and then Deputy Mayor Malash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Harry and Mickey, for coming forward. I certainly appreciate everything the museum has done. I've been there a couple of times for the Children's Water Festival, which is a fabulous event for water conservation in our area. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and I echo the sentiments that my fellow councillor on this side, Councillor Caxero, has said too. It's a slippery slope, right? So what can we do? It was my idea that you come back too. I was like, bring him back, let's talk to him, let's see. Because I want to see how we can support you becoming financially sustainable for the long term. We don't have 20,000 to give you right now, but if we did have 20,000 to give you right now, that's just helping us right now in the moment. How can we work out a plan with lobbying the province, perhaps the feds, to get you financially stable for the long term, so we don't have to worry about this every year? This is, I don't want to be in your shoes. Like, I can't imagine how stressful it is with the museum on the brink of closing. So I think our council, I know that we've probably talked to our MPP about it. I was there the day that he went for the tour, but I think if our council could send a letter through our chair to the MPP's office stating, reinforcing the grant that you've applied for. I think that might give it some weight. That's one way we can help. Another way we can help, I think, is through our communications department, promoting your events, working on getting those events packed to capacity. That's another way we could help. I know in the past we've done some things. We've had, one of the rodeos we had, there was a lot of rain, and we donated some in-kind, in-kind mulch, right? That's the word. I couldn't find the word. So things like that, I see us supporting you in the short term and trying to figure out how to get you financially sustainable in the long term. That being said, I don't know. There's a small pocket of money still left in that grant, but we typically leave that for a while to see if anything else comes up at the end of the year. I'm not on the finance committee this term, but perhaps we could revisit it in the fall. I think we need to stay in close contact, because I don't want to turn my back on you and in 6 months you're closed. But really right now our hands are really tied. But I think a letter to our MPP's office and the ministry that you applied for the grant, I'm not sure which ministry that is. Tourism, Culture and Sport. If we send them a letter saying that Essex Council, believes in the museum for all of these things listed, perhaps give an olive branch to see if we can provide you with anything in kind that we can provide you with. and to see if we can work out a long-term plan for financial stability there. And I don't know, I think Councillor Rokes is really good at being a liaison and giving us updates on how you're doing, so we can give him that hat too. That's all I have for now, sorry.
Deputy Mayor Malash, and then Councillor Snively.
Thank you through you, Your Worship. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening and presenting some additional facts. As most here have suggested, we all do believe that the Canadian Transportation Museum and Heritage Village is a very important part of our community. We know that there's many tours that come in. All of us at some point in time have been there. I know at one point in time when I was part of Communities in Bloom, we brought our judges through there and we actually received a special award for the recognition that we had such an incredible museum within the boundaries of the town of Essex. The judges were quite impressed. It's not that we don't think that it's a valuable asset to the town, that we wouldn't want it to be in our community. It's a matter of trying to, within the boundaries of what we can provide dollar-wise, and because of the type of operation that it is and so on, what we can do. We had a grant come forward through partners, like a partnership, community partnership fund. We looked at that and we were trying to figure out how it would fit, and it didn't really fit into that whole program as defined by policy that we have for the town of Essex. So the Finance Committee was looking at it, and the one place that we could see is that the programming that you actually offer, Councillor Bondi referenced the Waterworks, that program, and we thought this is an area where we can say, hey, we can throw some money at the Canadian Transportation Museum for hosting this event. And that's the reason why we were able to swing it so that the $5,000 was actually going in that direction. Our tourism budget is very small, believe it or not, and we typically use those monies for it's seed money, typically seed money for any beginning type of festival that we would have in the community. I'll give you, for instance, Erie, the shores of Erie. County, Explore the Shore, sorry. Explore the Shore is an example of where we would give some money. I mean, nowhere near the $25,000 that we're talking this evening. More like $5,000 for a couple of years, and then it's scaled back after that, because it's really used for seed money is what we're doing for different events that maybe would come into the community, and we'd fund it for a few years until the event gets off their feet. But in every instance, it's not giving money away for operational purposes for the long term. We haven't committed any money for tourism. I know there was mention of the monies that we give to the wineries. We don't give money to the wineries. The Colchester Harbor is an operational community recreational facility, and that's the reason why we fund Harbor. It's like parks and baseball diamonds and arenas. That's what we're funding. We're funding the harbor because of that reason. If it does bring in tourism, it has that potential, but that's not the reason why we're operating the harbor. We're operating the harbor as a recreational facility. And that is the responsibility of towns and local municipalities. Whereas museums, things like the Heritage Village, for instance, would fall more along the provincial line of being funded. So we're careful about how much money we would commit to items such as the Canadian Transportation Museum for that reason. I know back, and I'll go back to this afterwards, but so the monies, when the Finance Committee was looking at it, that's the fine line that we were trying to balance. We didn't have $25,000 to say in the budget that we could say we can allocate $25,000 towards this cause. I can't even remember the total dollar amount, but it might be $20,000 total that we have for tourism, or 25, something like that. I'm not going to put Mrs. Hunter on the spot at this moment to tell me that number, but it's a very low number. So rather than using all of that money to say that we're going to, we funnel it towards Canadian Transportation Museum. And then the other thing that we were looking at was we don't get into long-term funding of any operation. We have helped out in a couple of situations, for instance, our youth center, and the next thing you know, that they couldn't get themselves off of that funding. We'd almost have to know a plan going forward that would say, okay, we're going to be viable after this period of time financially, so that we are not dependent on the town of Essex. But we didn't see that in the plan. So that would have to be one thing that would be, before we could even consider doing anything differently than what we have, that we would need. And it was mentioned that we looked at the books. Well, I don't think that we looked at the books of, unless Ms. Hunter can tell me that you actually looked at their books. Maybe I could ask you that question.
Through your worship, in the applications that were sent to the committee, were all the financial statements of the Heritage Museum?
Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember seeing them, but other committees where we've also had monies where we gave a large amount of money, we'd also need somebody from council that would actually sit on the board of directors. That's another requirement. So there's a bunch of different requirements that would have to happen. I'm not sure if all of those would make sense to Canadian Transportation Museum, but in all honesty, right at this point in time, we don't have the monies built into our budget to be able to do this. We'd have to look somewhere where we're not going to spend in order to say, okay, we won't spend money on this, and now we'll change what we've passed in the budget and give it to the Canadian Transportation Museum. It's not like we collect tax dollars and just sit on them. They all have a purpose when we collect them. I don't think our taxpayers would appreciate us just collecting money and saying, we'll spend this at a later point in time. We're just going to take it in for just in case. So, although I am very appreciative of everything that the Canadian Transportation Museum does, I love the diner. We go there for breakfast all the time. I love the museum. I love the Heritage Village, and I do think it's an important aspect of our community. That was the answer that came through from the Finance Committee. It was debated, and we had a lot of discussion on it, and that's where we're at. And I'm still going to, at this point in time, stick with what we had. Thank you.
You were requesting a figure. Mrs. Hunter just advised me we have $9,966 there.
Thank you.
Next is Councillor Snively and Councillor Volks.
Through your worship, I'll echo what Deputy Mayor Richard said here. He's 100% right. The museum is very important for our community. A question to administration. I thought a letter already went off to the ministry on behalf of the museum.
Through your worship, I'm not 100% certain. There may have been as a result of one of the earlier meetings, but I could very quickly find out. And
Yeah, could you please? Because I'm sure that come forward before we requested a letter to go off, and I'm sure it come up a couple months ago, didn't it? Didn't this come up 2 or 3 months ago? This come up.
Could have.
Okay, thank you. Let's just make sure that letter does go off. Thank you.
Councillor Volks.
In terms of, thank you, Councillor Caxaro. In terms of the letter, I believe it went through Therese Natashak's office, Therese for that letter, and Therese lobbied, and Therese managed, understanding the value of the museum, went to the House, lobbied and managed to get some money, but even that money Therese got, it's not enough. It's not enough. So, I don't know, how much was it? If I could go through the chair?
Yes, sir. Do you have that, Mick?
Yeah, if you can hear me, I've got laryngitis. If you look at the very top item here in the figures, grants, Ontario Ministry of Tourism, in 2013 we got $29,800. We didn't get anything in 2014. It didn't seem like we were going to get anything in 2015, and that's when the letter went out with your support of council here and Therese. And then suddenly, as Harry said, we did get the grant, $29,800, very late in the year, like it was December the 15th or something. So, but anyways, otherwise we don't think we would have gotten that grant because they advise us every year by October, and we were not advised until December.
Councillor Folk still has the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Donna, how much money we got in the landfill reserve right now?
Through you, Your Worship, I think on a cash basis, probably about 3.5 million.
3.5 million. 3.5 million. In terms of promotion, they really don't need promotion, Councillor Bondi. That's not their problem. And when we say we'll help by promoting, that's doing nothing for them. They don't need the promotion. The people are coming. But because the people are coming, it drives the bills up. The lights are on more. Things are being run more. There's more services, more requirements. And as a result of that tourism influx into our community, they can't survive. They don't need our promotion. Actually, what we should be doing is just the opposite, and that's not promoting them, slow them down a little bit, so they're not spending as much money and therefore maybe survive. You're not getting it, people. I'm sorry, but you're not getting it. I say that respectfully. In terms of like yearly, let's not kid one another. Let's be real about it. We spend $100,000 probably on average going to conferences. Then we look at these people and tell them there's no money. And the intent of going to conferences, and you'll see it tonight, when Mr. Caxero, or Councillor Caxero does his presentation, he's going to talk about it. He's going to talk about when he went to the conference, the values of tourism, the values of history, the values of what it means to your community. They already brought it to the table. They have it right there. And we're saying no. That's the message I'm getting right now, is we're saying no. I hear members of this finance committee that made the decision on whether or not those gentlemen representing the board get that $20,000. Members of that committee didn't even know if the books were surrendered to decide that. But we decided not to give them $20,000, but they brought the books were dissected, the books were looked at, the recommendation went to the finance committee to decide, and then members of the finance committee go, did we get the books? Please, people. Oh, that's it. I'm done.
Okay, just before I go to you, Councillor Bondi, Deputy Mayor Malash, I have a couple comments too.
Thank you. At the time the decision was made, Councillor Vokes, we did look at the financial records, but I couldn't remember if they were the official records or just something handwritten. So at the time, months ago, when we looked at it, but this is much later, this is very untypical that we would have an audience asking us for money after this far after we had made the decision.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just have a couple comments here, and believe me, I know how important you people are. First of all, we have AMO coming here. I believe it's the 14th to the 17th, something like that, of August. Now we have County Council, the CAO, ask through the committee for a one stop in each municipality. And I've been thinking about this. What winery? What do we got? 12, 13 wineries in our municipality? Everybody's going to want that group to come from all over, the province to their winery. They're not all going to get there because they're going to go to Kingsville someplace and they're going to go to Amherstburg someplace. But when we make a recommendation, I have no idea who we are going to recommend. But to me, this is a perfect one. There's only one of these things in southwestern Ontario probably. I don't know where the closest place is, but I would think that people that are coming from all over the province wouldn't mind seeing something like this. So that's one thing that I've been thinking about for you gentlemen, to help us out. Who knows how often these people come back when they like right here in the city of Windsor, have AMO. There was a comment, something about we cannot pick and choose. But that's what this council has to do, is pick and choose. A lot of the decisions we make aren't the ones that we want to make, but we have to make those tough decisions. You know, so we do have to pick and choose. And like it's been stated by the chair, the Finance Committee, those are tough decisions that 4 members bring a recommendation to this council, and then the council decides on which avenue we're going to. They're very tough decisions. So that's all I think I have to say, and I have Councillor Bondi who is prepared to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to move receipt of your presentation. And unfortunately, right now, I agree with my council colleagues, like until we see that the museum can be financially sustainable, it's throwing good money after bad. I think that there are things that we can do to support you, though, in terms of we write to the ministry, we write to the MPP, and we write to the MP again. Councillor Snively and I just saw the MP and the MPP on Saturday night, and I was like, let's talk to them. What do we have to talk to them about? And we were like, the harbor. But if I, this wasn't recent in my mind. I just wasn't thinking Heritage Village, but now I'm thinking Heritage Village. So I just want to move to receipt and that we send those letters off. And if things come up during the year, if we can support you somehow in kind, I think that council, it could come to the attention of council, and council make a decision at that time to see how we can support you. And if you don't want promotion, if you don't need it, but if we can promote, then I would like to see if we could do that as well.
Have a motion on the floor, supported by, for discussion, Councillor Snively.
I'll support the motion.
But the question.
The discussion is, we do support. I want the public to know, and I want the media to know, we do support you. We do give you $5,000 a year. And I want to make that very clear. And there's $5,000 that come out of our budget every year for the next 5 years to support you. 3. Is it 3 years? Pardon me, 3 years. Can I just, I guess I can't ask him a question, eh? I wasn't clear on this 29,800 in 2015. Now, was that when I was there with the meeting, when Councillor Vokes was there and Taras and everybody was there?
Yes,
And that's the grant that you were looking for at that time?
which we receive every year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Discussion. Yep, Councillor Vokes.
I'm asking for a recorded vote, please.
Councillor Caxero.
And unfortunately, we can't ask questions of the delegation at this point, but I guess my curiosity is this. Up until the time that they were denied that grant of $30,000, I think financially things were obviously okay because they hadn't come for any ask prior to that. So I guess where I need some clarity is if that funding were to continue now going forward, this year and the following years to come, is it that they're just playing catch up and they need that $30,000 that they missed the 1 year? Because even with increased attendance there and whatnot, the increased attendance should offset the increased expenditures, or maybe they need to adjust what they're charging or whatever. If they were successful prior to. If it's deeper than that, then it's deeper than that. But that's one place where I guess in the future I'd like some clarification on, because maybe this is more of a one-time catch-up thing as opposed to an ongoing thing. But certainly, and I've got it marked down, I plan to petition anybody that's coming to AMO. I'd like to meet with the Minister of Tourism and Rec, and potentially I'd like to try to get him out to the museum. I'd like to make sure that he knows the importance of that facility in his ministry. And I realize, yeah, we don't have any liberal MPPs in our area, but we still have to gain the respect of the government, and they have to absolutely take care of the whole province, not just where they have elected officials. And I will stress that to them.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Vokes?
Thank you, Worship. I'm gonna plead with council to turn this motion down. People, right now, they got a $50,000 hydro bill they can't pay. So if I wasn't a strong advocate of, and it might even be more than that, and if I wasn't a strong advocate of keeping that museum open, I would be asking the question this, my question would be this, gentlemen, how do you plan on sustaining yourself? They're figuring a way out. They're trying to figure a way out. They're not asking for money for year out. We're making it sound like they're asking for money to sustain them ongoing. They've asked for money. That's why they've asked for 3 years. They believe they will have a plan, a turnaround plan in 3 years. That gives them 3 years to help pay their bills, recognizing what they could be coming into. It's not like we're doing it forever. It's not going to be a budget line item every year. It's not. It's a one-time initiation. And God willing, maybe we'll find somebody this year that will step up, like the other elderly gentleman who recognized the value of it and financially supported them, and for his own reasons can no longer do that. We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater right now for $20,000. My God, people, please. It's short term. It is short term. They'll give you a letter, I'm sure, saying it's not forever. Please don't accept this motion.
Sorry, Councillor Caxero, you spoke to the motion once already, so that'll be the end of that. So far, I've had Councillor Snively, Councillor Caxero, and Councillor Vokes speak to the motion. Anyone else to the motion? You have a second chance. Sure.
Thank you. After this, I would hope that we can call the question, but I'm not opposed to meeting with them again in the fall to see if there's something we can do, if we have any monies left over, and keeping in touch.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Malash, any comment? No, I'll call the question. It's a recorded vote. Sorry.
So to the motion, Councillor Vokes? Councillor Caxero?
In favor?
Councillor Snively? Deputy Mayor Malash?
Support.
Mayor McDermott?
Support?
And Councillor Bondi? Support. With the recorded vote, Councillor Vokes opposed, Councillor Caxero support, Councillor Snively support, Deputy Mayor Malash support, Mayor McDermott support, and Councillor Bondi support. With a recorded vote of 5 in support and 1 opposed, the motion is carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 6 on the agenda this evening is unfinished business, the South Point development matter from the March 21st regular council meeting. The proposed motion was from Councillor Borkman. With his absence this evening, it may be council's wishes to defer this matter, or if council wishes, it may still move with this motion as proposed.
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, I'd be preferred to make the motion.
Motion made by Councillor Caxero, supported by? Is it a motion to defer? No, to continue in Steve's absence. Steve wanted to bring this up and deal with it, as it says here, but in his absence because of his dad, we're allowing it to go on, with his approval. And seconded by Councillor Snively. Any questions to the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7 on the agenda, reports from administration. Item 7A, clerk's report on closed council meetings. Your worship, on April 25th, during the course of its special meeting held in open session, council by motion moved into closed session to consider business as permitted to do so under Section 239 of the Municipal Act. In the continuing interest of transparency, I am reporting in public session any outcomes that can be reported from that closed session business. As a result, I wish to report that at the April 25th closed session, advice subject to solicitor-client privilege was received in regards to property standards and specific properties, and legal advice was also received in regards to property standards enforcement and potential litigation, all pursuant to Sections 239(2)E and 239(2)F of the Municipal Act. That is my report for receipt, Your Worship.
Councillor Bonnie moves, supported by Councillor Cacchiaro. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? All. Motion carries. Sorry.
Item 7B under reports is infrastructure and development, report number 2016-08, 2016 structure, culvert, and bridge inspections for receipt and council's concurrence with the recommendations contained in the report and the appointment of the engineering firm Keystone Bridge Management Corporation.
Councillor Cacchiaro?
Move receipt and the recommendations.
Councillor Bonnie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To our Director of Infrastructure, Chris, I see that you wrote back to my email about the culvert on the 4th. So do we know at the time frame when this inspection will be completed?
Mr. Nepsey?
Through your worship, once we obtain approvals tonight, we'll have to issue a PO sometime this summer. I guess it depends on their schedule. I know they've got a few other municipalities to do around here, so I'm not sure where we fit in on that timeline, but the summer months.
Anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 8A, correspondence to be received by council, that the correspondence listed in agenda items 8A 1 to 6 be received, and we're indicated to further share such information with the community.
I'd ask for receive all of the info. And if you, Deputy Mayor Malash, Councillor Cacchiaro, would you like to discuss any of them? If not, we'll ask the question. Oh, Councillor Bondi.
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have some notes here that I made earlier today. I had a chance to watch the video of the Minister of Education, Liz Sandals, her announcement in Kingsville the other day. And I'm trying to pull up her letter, but hang on, I'm not very good at multitasking because we're going fast. So my notes are something along the lines that our mayor was, or any members of council, or our parent council chair at the high school, none of us were invited to this announcement. And if you watch the video, she acknowledges that the mayor of Kingsville is there, the parent council member chair is there of Kingsville High, and nobody from our community is there. She also mentioned, I really need to find my notes. She also mentioned that the school is being built because of a pot of money that they have. It's, oh, here it is. I ripped it out. The new state-of-the-art school is being built because of the School Consolidation Capital Fund. The reason why that school is being built is because they've consolidated our community into their community. So I'm a little taken aback that she wouldn't even think to invite members of our community, since we're supposed to be their community now. She also went on to say that there's a lot of opportunities for students in this new mega school with 1,800 students. And I know that goes from daycare right to high school, but I don't think that mega schooling is a great way to educate our children. She also went on to say that there's thriving learning environments and supportive communities. So I don't agree with anything that she said there, too. She also gave kudos to the Greater Essex County District School Board for their leadership, which we all know that we're not happy on this side for their leadership. That being said, I believe that Mayor Santos is working with the school board in terms of a land swap to build this new mega school. In my opinion, as part of the land swap, since we are a community of schools now, and that is our community, the land swap should include Harrow High School getting, or the town of Essex getting the Harrow High School property. I would love to see a couple members of our council and our mayor, maybe Councillor Caxero, approaching Nelson and working with the school board to see if the land swap could include Essex getting the high school. If they're doing a land swap, if they're getting a consolidated school because of our students, we need to get something out of it. Right now, we're not getting anything out of it. We're getting our students shipped on buses, and we're getting our vacant building in the heart of our community, and we're getting economic development from our students going to another town. So I don't believe that's fair. So I think we need to start negotiating with the school board and the mayor of Kingsville to see if we can get their school. Another thing I would like to see, and I did send out an email about new business. Another thing I would like to see is our council, we can do this as a notice of motion for our next council meeting, get something in writing from the school board saying that Harrow Public School, which is our JK to 8, we have a 25-year, or at least guarantee that there's going to be education in Harrow. Because if you look at Erin Kelly, had a slip of the tongue in the video, and she said that Harrow Public School was going to be a feeder school of this mega school too. So I think there's a lot of panic going on in the Harrow community right now that we're going to lose our grade school. It's one thing to lose a high school, but it's another slap in the face to lose the public school. We know that they're putting solar panels up on that building, and the lifespan of those solar panels are 25 years, and they're going up right now. So we know that the board thinks that that school can last 25 years. Right now, the iron's hot. I think we should hold their feet to the fire, that they should not be thinking about messing with our grade school. So a couple of things I'm asking for council. Council permission to send a couple council members knocking on Nelson Santos's door and saying, well, you know what, we know we can't afford $400,000 to $500,000 for the high school. If we can negotiate this in a land swap, it might not happen, but it's certainly not going to happen if we don't ask. It's not going to hurt asking, especially if we want the rec lands. Let's see if we can go after those rec lands. And then I don't know if maybe administration can come back with some advice on how we can write up a document to send it to the Board of Education to start making some waves saying, do not touch our grade school. It's one thing to stick a grade 9 on a bus. It's another thing to stick a grade JK on a bus for half an hour. You want to talk about supporting communities? The board needs to continue to support the Harrow community and our family and our schools there. That's my rant. I'm mad. Anybody that watches the video, it's makes your blood boil. The fact that you weren't invited is just irritating. And if they want us to mold and to become a community, they need to start thinking about it and inviting us.
Thank you very much for that. I agree 100% with you. I have a couple comments I will make at the end too. Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship, it's actually 2,000 kids when you include the daycare spots. So it's not 1,800, 2,000. $44 million, unprecedented amount. The most that's ever been spent in Ontario on a school. Amazing. Amazing because in my mind, they could have spent $35 million in Kingsville, had a beautiful school for Kingsville, retrofitted Harrow High for about $9 million, spent the same amount of money, and we would have had 2 schools still open. JK to 12 in Harrow, JK to 12 in Kingsville. That's the disappointing part. They wouldn't have spent any more money than what they're going to spend. So, yeah, the letter from Liz Sandals. And I'm just going to read the last paragraph. Thank you for your invitation to discuss your concerns in person. However, I regret that at this time I am unable to schedule a meeting with you. On behalf of the ministry, I'd like to extend our appreciation for your commitment to advocating the educational interests of your community. So, basically, in my mind, to say that she doesn't have the time to meet with us We were in Toronto, we wanted to meet with her. We've basically put the pitch out that we'll kind of cater to her schedule, and she doesn't have the time. She certainly had the time to come down and make an announcement for $44 million in Kingsville. It seems kind of disappointing to me that she doesn't have the time. That's her job as the Minister of Education, in my opinion. So it seems to me that there is definitely a disconnect between a lot of this provincial government and municipalities. And I absolutely agree. I think that's a great idea to go to Nelson and potentially get something put into that agreement. I think that's well worth going after. Certainly, we can ask of the school board for some sort of protection in writing for the grade school. I don't know that we're going to get it, but certainly we can ask. It certainly is a topic that does cause me to get a little upset also. I don't understand how there isn't accountability. There is absolutely zero accountability from my perspective from this ministry. And I'll go as far as to mention Minister of Ag and Rural Affairs, Minister of Health, Minister of Environment, the Premier herself. Zero accountability on this issue.
Anyone else to the topic? Because Mayor usually speaks last. I'm going to make a few comments here, and then we'll vote on this thing. First of all, Councilor Caxero asked me if I was going over there, and I'm pretty sure I said to him, hell no. We've been crapped on by the school board, by the minister, and Minister Leal, all those people in the government who, like Bill says, represent us. If I had gone over there, I don't know who I'd have punched in the nose first. And yes, one of them would be a mayor. When we started out a couple years ago in Amherstburg, first meeting was in Amherstburg. We were a team. Amherstburg, Kingsville, Harrow, save our schools, save our schools. About day 2 or day 3, we were fighting on our own. It wasn't us against the school boards. It was Essex against the rest of the world. What a shame. We're making deals with the school board out of Kingsville, as far as I'm concerned, just like Councillor Bondi said. Hey, we'll give you some, we heard them. We'll give you some property there. You can build a school on this property. Man, oh man, it's terrible. What a team we used to be in the county until this school issue came. Now it's kind of divided us. Maybe by going to Mayor Santos, perfect, because he's got everybody's ear. Maybe we will get a minister's ear or the school board's ear through Mayor Santos. That's the only way we're going to get him to listen to us. Great idea. I think we all need to sign it. Not just the mayor. We all need to sign that letter, that we're 100% behind that suggestion. So I'm going to ask for the question. All in favor of that motion from Councillor Bondi? Motion carries. Thank you, Councillor Bondi.
Item 8 on the agenda, correspondence to be considered for receipt and support by council. Your worship, council, if it wishes, can move in support by consent on all correspondence in item 8B, or council can move support each separate item.
Councillor Caxero.
Through you, I have, I believe, item 2 and item 4, receipt and support. The other two, somebody else wants to, but I'll move receipt and support of item 2 and item 4.
Would you like to receive all of them? We should receive them all. No?
Sure, I can receive all 4, and
Okay, and
unless
then
somebody else has.
We'll get a seconder, and then
Yep.
you can pick out Councillor Snively. Okay, Councillor Caxero, 2 and 4, was it? To approve. Seconder to that, Councillor Snively. Yes, sir. Any questions or anything further? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 11 this evening, new business. Councillor Caxero, provide council with a report on the recently attended tourism conference.
We're going to require you, Bill, to go to the hot seat and, no. At Deputy Mayor Malash's request. Can you keep it in 5 minutes, or do you need more? Go ahead.
Might be more than 5 minutes,
Okay.
sorry. So I did attend a tourism conference along with Councillor Bjorkman, and I'll present on behalf of both of us. He wasn't there for the total conference. He was there in the afternoon both days. I was there for the full 2 days. So first part of the conference, the first day, we did a tour of the museum in North Buxton that celebrates both the Underground Railroad and early black settlement in Canada. Also, while we were on that tour, it was mentioned that nearby in Dresden, there's the internationally famous Uncle Tom's Cabin. The point that I want to make with regards to the tour is that I had never heard of this museum. I mean, when Buxton was mentioned to me prior to this, I knew it as a place where they went and raced cars. So I think it's important to note that promoting inside your geographic area is as important as promoting abroad, because by doing that, by educating the people around about these types of places, when we are abroad or not near home, we can promote our area properly. Rob Taylor from TIAC, TIAC is Tourism Industry Association of Canada, spoke. TIAC is the only national organization representing the full cross-section of Canada's $88.5 billion tourism industry. So it's $88.5 billion in Canada. TIAC welcomes the proposed $50 million funding increase to Destination Canada's international tourism marketing over the next 2 years. Unlike many Canadian industries, travel and tourism is experiencing optimal business conditions, particularly from the U.S. market, where the combination of economic recovery, increased passport ownership, and currency exchange provide an excellent opportunity to generate interest in travel to Canada. A recent Nanos survey found that 82% of Canadians believe now is the time to invest in attracting more visitors to Canada. Forecast for 2016 is 772,000 overnight visitors. In 2015, Canada had its slowest economic growth since 2009, but tourism had one of its best years ever. Marketing has changed. The conventional media of marketing was the newspaper. That has been replaced by things such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, etc. Last year in November, Facebook is even changing. It's becoming more video oriented. Last year in November, a one-day, 24-hour peak was 8 billion hits on video on Facebook. So it is growing, and they say that Facebook will be primarily video in the next couple of years. In 2012, we had 17.8 million tourists spend $1.7 billion just in southwestern Ontario alone. The goal is to have $2 billion in tourism revenue by 2017. Web traffic is doubling every year. U.S. visitors inbound is up 8.3%, and Canadian outbound is down 20.7%. People are staying at home in Canada. 155 million Americans have passports now, and that's growing. The number of people interested in visiting Ontario has increased 88% in the last couple of years. 86% of the people that visited Ontario have either had a very good or excellent experience, and they are amazed by the value they receive. Based on these stats, I believe we have to connect with the U.S. A survey of tourism business owners in southwestern Ontario last fall revealed these stats. 61% said business was better than the previous year. 56% said they had more visitors. 31% made major investments in their business, and 54% made minor investments, for a total of 85% making some sort of an investment in their business. 27% had to hire new staff, and 65% retained the same level of staff. Tourism accounts for 4.5% of the Canadian GDP. Tourism accounts for 6% of total employment in Canada, which equates to 1.1 million jobs nationally. This is from Stats Canada. Ontario's tourism snapshot from 2012. 28 billion in tourism receipts from 142 million visitors. 35% are overnight visitors and 65% are same-day visitors. The overnight visitors, 69% are Ontarians, 8% are other Canadians, 12% Americans, and 11% overseas. Americans and overseas are potentially the largest growth area. Day trippers, 85% are Ontarians, 6% are other Canadians, 8% are Americans, and 1% are overseas. $151,000 businesses in Ontario are related to tourism, which creates 359,000 jobs. Interesting stat, 40% of Ontarians under the age of 35 are employed by a tourism business. Almost half of people under 35. From 2014 to 2015, we saw increases in U.S. entries by 9.1%, overseas entries by 8.9%, and retail sales by 4.5%. In a post-industrial economy, quality of place is the economic driver for communities. People want to live and work in nice places. The nicer the place, the more desirable, the better the chance for the economy to thrive. In an industrial economy, people move to work where the jobs were. Post-industrial economy, and I've said this before, people choose first where they want to live, then they either find a job or they create their own job. If your place is not desirable, you're not going to attract people. You will not develop your economy if you don't develop your quality of place. So economic development is developing our quality of place and attracting people that way. Quality of place. Let's define quality of place. It's nice downtowns. It's streetscapes. It's shops. It's boutiques, cafes, artisans, breweries, cideries, wineries. Clean and safe access to outdoor trails and nature. Recreation facilities such as pools, arenas, splash pads, marinas, beaches, parks, playgrounds, community centers, community hubs, libraries. Tourism is one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world. It is a key driver for socioeconomic progress. Global tourism equals or surpasses oil exports, food products, and automobiles. Internationally, tourism grew by 4.3% in 2014. Tourism accounts for 10% of global GDP and 9% of jobs worldwide. Nationally, in Canada, tourism is bigger than forestry, bigger than mining, and bigger than agriculture. In 2015, we saw 600,000 more domestic trips and 600,000 more overnight visits by Americans nationally. Visitors spend an average of $97 per trip. Same day is $66 per trip, $66 per trip. Overnight is $176 per trip. So definitely the key is to attracting people to want to stay overnight. 30% of visits are between July and September. 25% of visits are between April and June. Disruptive changes in tourism. They identified 3: massive growth, consumer behavior, and technology. These aren't necessarily detriments to tourism, they're just changes in tourism. Tourism is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. In 2015, we had about 1 billion international travelers. It is projected that that number will double to 2 billion by 2031. And they will generate $3 trillion US in revenue for the industry across the globe. Tourist arrivals to increase to 43 million per year for Canada. Asia Pacific will be the region outbound that will grow the most. Anticipated 9% annual growth in millennium travel, that's ages approximately 20 to 30. Annual growth globally, 4.3%, and nationally, 6.6%. 80% of American travelers are looking at some aspect of arts, culture, or history. Great places to live, a great place to live is a great place to visit. And a great place to visit is a great place to live. And that's the conclusion of my information.
Thank you, Councillor Ketcher. Any questions of Bill? Councillor Boakes?
So in hearing all that, Bill, what do we do with that now?
Absolutely, there's some key points, and I will reference the key points. Key points are Americans are the key to us generating tourism dollars. Those are the people that they've got more passports than ever, and they're the ones that are coming across. I think the whole point of the fact that we are not in an industrial economy. We are in a post-industrial economy, which quality of place is the economic driver. Our focus needs to be on developing our quality of place to be an attractive area for that economic growth. And that is what I explained. And some of this is private sector, but certainly we need to do our job to encourage it. So the nice downtown streetscape, the shops, the boutiques, the cafes, the breweries, the cideries, the wineries. We need to encourage the development of that. From our perspective, from a public perspective, it's the trails, it's nature, it's recreation facilities, it's community centers, community hubs, it's libraries. That is what we have to focus our efforts on. Because from this perspective, tourists become potentially your residents. And that's how they determine where they're going to live. They'll pick where they're going to live, and then they'll figure out where they're going to work. That's the way of the future.
Thank you, sir.
On that, if
Councillor Boakes?
So we got to develop our quality, right? That's what you're telling me, as a result of on this conference. And then we got to look at things such as our shops and our wineries, right? In terms of tourism. So how do we do that? We need money?
Certainly from my perspective, obviously, we need money to
Okay,
invest.
both of you, come on through the chair. Ever since you started, the chairs, I know you did, but Mr. Chair, okay, I'm just saying, none of this way. We're all here. Okay, that's all.
So do we need money?
No, you asked him a question. He's going to answer you, but he's coming through the chair. Councillor Boakes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I apologize. Through you, Your Worship. Yes, absolutely, Councillor Vokes. Money is the key to us making investment. That's certainly not the only thing. I think, and it's clear, social media is the big way to advertise. We need to determine how we can do that most effectively. And we have to have a target audience. I believe not only Americans, because it does say that Canadians are more and more staying at home. So I believe part of the equation is educating our own people, making sure they know what's available here in our area, things such as Heritage Village, things such as what we have to offer in Colchester, points of interest, the cemeteries, the historic Snyder House, the schoolhouse, what we have to offer as a community. We need to educate our people. We need to make sure that people know what we have to offer in our area, as opposed to saying, you know, oh, if you come to Essex County, we got a great casino. And not to say that we don't promote that, but we also have to promote our own area. And from our perspective, educating our people, or from my perspective, educating our people, and making sure we're using social media to its fullest capacity is important.
I just get a little confused, that's all, to the chair. I just get a little confused. I really am, to be quite frank with you. When we, on the heels of what happened to us here tonight, we talk about the importance of tourism and pouring money into shops, boutiques, and wineries. And we turned and said no to people tonight. And in terms of promoting our tourism, I was at Devonshire Mall this weekend. And in the center, there's a kiosk. It's an information kiosk. And if you go there, there's brochures there. Kingsville, Bell River, Leamington, every municipality. You know who's not there? As I flip through them, us.
Councillor Caxero, then I have Councillor Snively.
Through your worship, I just want to make it clear to Councillor Vokes, I'm not suggesting that we put money into the shops, boutiques, cafes, brewery. Those are private enterprises. I'm suggesting that we make sure the atmosphere is favorable for those types of things to happen. The money that we're putting in is into our trails, our recreation facilities, our community centers, our libraries. That's our function. Just so that I just don't want it to be misconceived that I was saying that we put money into those things. That's not what I'm saying. Certainly the whole case of the Transportation Museum is a unique situation, as I said before. It should be a function of the province. That doesn't mean that, as we've done before, we turn our backs on issues that are going on in our municipality. And I do believe, as I said earlier, that is an important attraction in our municipality, 100%.
I have Councillor Snively and Deputy Mayor Malash.
Through your worship, to administration, and we, Councillor Vokes brought up the issue that they have brochures in Devonshire Mall. I haven't been in for years, but are we aware of this?
Donna?
Through you, not personally, Councillor Snively. I could certainly talk to Lori Brett and see what we could put together, what the cost would be, if any, and get back to council with that.
Through your chair, I'm sure we should do that because there is a lot of American tourists that do shop in that mall, quite a few Americans. So I would appreciate if we did look into that. And another thing, promoting our town, Councillor Caxero. We do promote a lot of our wineries and everything through our website, don't we? What we have to offer in the town of Essex, it's all on our website, and it's out there, okay? I don't know how much more we can do. We could probably expand more, but we do promote our town. I think we do a pretty good job at that. And as far as tourism, along the lake where the wineries are, I think every year that is growing and growing and growing. And to look at our downtown commercial areas, if you look at downtown Essex itself here, the old town of Essex, I think we're doing a hell of a good job here, at promoting the downtown commercial businesses. I think we're doing a fine job here in this end here. I think at the Harrow end, we could work a little bit harder to bring people in there, but there is some businesses there that are doing very well there. We know Limeys, are doing very well. Like I say, if the area is going to grow, I agree, we have to promote the area, but I think the wineries do a good job out along the lake promoting their own industry there too. So I can see the growth coming. Every year it's getting better and better. We know what we're doing to the harbor there. I think we did great improvements with the harbor, and as far as tourism, if you look at Colchester Harbor itself, the area of the park, every year it's getting more and more and more. It reminds me back in the early 60s when it used to be packed down there. And then we lost all that tourism. It's back. And it's back more than what it was before. So I think we're doing a fine job promoting downtown Essex right now and promoting the waterfront area. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Caxero?
Through your worship, certainly I wasn't suggesting that we're not doing any promoting. I just want to stress that it is important, and social media is the avenue. And I believe part of what we can do is make sure our own are educated. Something that I've brought forward at ACT, and you sit on the committee with me, Councillor Snively, is cultural mapping. And I believe that's important because that will kind of give a snapshot of what we have to offer in the municipality from a cultural and arts standpoint, and historical standpoint. So I think that is important going forward. I've mentioned it, and I'll certainly be an advocate of us doing that in the future, however that might be, whether it's with Heritage Essex and heirs in combination with those two organizations, or whether it's on our own as a municipality, but I think those two organizations can have some input, definitely.
Councillor Snively, one more.
Yeah, just in response, Bill, I just want to thank you for bringing that report in. Very, very fine job. Very well put together.
Deputy Mayor Melange.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Caxero. Just wondering, did they at all talk about potential grants or, upcoming monies that may be coming from the province or from the federal government?
Through your worship, that fellow there from TIAC, he mentioned that $50 million in funding increases to Destination Canada. It's an international tourism marketing thing. I don't remember anything else being actually mentioned. The minister was not there. He did send somebody on his behalf. I believe there was a spot in the budget. They had some other items, but I don't think there's anything related directly to municipal funding. But certainly, I believe there is funding available through the ministry, certainly when we can tap in, we should. But I heard from, I believe it was an administrator from Norfolk, and it was interesting how they kind of went about things. They've kind of created not a trolley, it's a bus system that goes from Long Point all the way up to, and I forget the port. And it runs on the weekends. It's fairly inexpensive, and it was basically a way of promoting the area. They've gotten buy-in from all the businesses. They have a great partnership where they generate quite a bit of money through these businesses that take part in partnership with the municipality. And they started out with zero. And going through to economic development, he mentioned that they had a half of an economic development officer, such as we had. They went up as high as 5 or 6 officers, and they've gone down to 4. That was, I guess, too much. But certainly they see the benefit of having these people on the ground working for them. So I certainly think it's a great conference. It's a 2-day conference generally. It's fairly inexpensive, the conference itself. I would love to see more elected officials there. It was myself and Steve and Mayor Nelson Santos was there for part of it. That's it. Last year I was the only one. There certainly has to be a bigger buy-in, I think, from elected officials with regards to tourism. It is definitely an economic driver, and if we don't believe that, go to the conference, and you'll certainly see how it is an economic driver. And there's testimonials all the time from various areas where they've bought into it, and by developing a good atmosphere, a good quality of place to provide that haven to attract tourism, they've been very successful.
Okay, we have another speaker at least, Councillor Caxero. When they ask you a question about, is there any grant money? That was a great report. And you're going more and more. I'll listen to you later, but if you can stick to that. I probably forgot the question I was going to ask you now. But anyways, Councillor Bondi.
Well, thank you. If I may, I was just going to thank the counselor and move the receipt of the presentation and possibly have Donna follow up and see if we can get any flyers at the kiosk in the mall. So just looking for a seconder.
Thank you very much. Councillor Snively seconded. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Councillor Caxero. Next delegation I go to with you, you can make that report too. Great job.
Item 11B, under new business, Councillor Bondi, triathlete Lionel Sanders.
Councillor Bondi.
Thank you. I'll be quite quick. I just, this was brought up to me by a resident in Harrow, Kelly Wessel, and she was just wondering if the town of Harrow can do anything to celebrate our triathlon there, Lyle Sanders, because other towns have done this. Like Ruthven is as a sign for Megan Augusta, and it's a pretty big, he's a pretty big deal, and he is a Harrow Hawk from the high school. So I'm just throwing it out there to see if there's appetite from council to work with our director of community service to see if we can do something in Harrow, whether it be a sign or, I don't know, a plaque or something that gives a little tribute to the world-class athlete that came out of Harrow High.
Mr. Sweet, please.
To your worship, when Councillor Bondi brought that forward, we did talk about it at our senior management team meeting, and we are going to amend our current naming right policy to develop some criteria, because I also got a question about the Essex 73s being one of the most successful junior C programs in the province. So that's something we want to draft and want to bring back to council, just so we have some criteria. And when we, like Megan Augusta, because she was a gold medal Olympian, that's kind of what they went by. But I think at council discretion, at any time, they can recognize someone like Lionel Sanders, who's a great ambassador for our town right now. And one suggestion we may have is we have June as Recreation and Parks Month coming up. Designate 1 or 2 days for this year as Lionel Sanders Day to get out, run, bike, or swim. 3 things he does. So.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Vokes?
Well, if we're going to recognize people from Essex, then I want to throw into the hat my 2 nephews who are playing in the NHL league in Germany, and both of them are leading the league. So if we're going to do that, then remember those names.
Anything further to the motion? No? All in favor? Motion carries.
Yeah, I'm not,
Oh, we didn't. I thought you made the motion. Oh, okay. Direction. Good enough.
item 11C, Councillor Snively, speaking to Colchester Harbor daily ramp fees.
Councillor Snively.
Through your worship, everybody knows here I'm an avid fisherman. I fish 3, 4, 5 times a week throughout the year. Our harbor it just opened on the weekend, and I do fish year-round, and there's been many, many, many times I've been down there. I think we're missing the boat on revenue. It is the taxpayers' property. We own it as taxpayers. I've been down there several times on weekends, and Councilor Coxero knows this too. There's some nice days down there on the weekends where there's 60, 70 trailers that's in there, and we're not collecting any ramp fees. I think we're missing the boat there. We opened a new business down there, bait business. We're in the bait business down there. It's going good right now. I don't think we're going to make money the first year in the business. There's a lot of people just finding out we're into the business down there. But I think we're losing a lot of revenue through the ramp passes. And I think we have somebody there from 6 o'clock to 10, isn't it, Doug? 6 to 10 is the hour. And I think that there should be a sign there that we do collect the ramp fees for the 4 hours. Now, people that pay for birth down there, you know, they're paying over $1,000, and seasonal passes, like people that buy seasonal passes, shouldn't have to pay. But I mean, people are using our ramp, okay, should pay. I think we're missing the boat on revenue. Thank you.
Comment, Mr. Sweet?
Through your worship, just for clarification, from this past weekend, so May 1st to October 9th, we have staff down there from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night that are collecting ramp fees and helping people put their boats in. I think what Councillor Snively's looking at is from October, the other months when it gets warmer. And at that time, I'd like to come back in June, let us department look at a procedure and some new fees we'd have to look at because we couldn't offer the same service, but it's something we can charge for the ramp fee. But right now, from May 1st to October 9th, we do have staff from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. down there.
Councilor Snively?
Yeah, through your worship. No, I understand that, Doug. I mean, I'm not talking now. We are collecting the ramp fees. I'm talking on the off-season. Like when we close that down to October, there, you know, you got October, November, December. I mean, we have some very, very nice weather there, and the lots were full of trailers. I'm just saying that we have somebody down there selling bait. We should be collecting the revenue. I mean.
Yes, sir.
Through your worship, and that's why I would recommend direction administration that we come back with a report, because even though we have that person, it may not be in their duties, so I think we can come up with proposals so we can meet that need. Just let our department come back to council with that.
Thank you. Thank you, your worship.
So that's a recommendation, Mr. Sweet. Thanks. Councilor Coxero?
Through your worship, I certainly would support that. I think it is a great idea. Since we do have a staff member now, that person is hired by the town. If we're looking at selling bait throughout the whole year during the off-season, and this is what the report, I guess, will come back to suggest to us, is how do we get to that point, and what's that going to look like? It may be a different model because what we're offering is not going to be the same as what we offer through the season when it is actually opened. But I think we can do something to recover some costs, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Item 11D, Donna Hunter, Acting CAO and Director of Corporate Services, speaking to AMO Conference Planning and request for assistance.
Thank you, Mrs. Hunter.
Through you, your worship, just a reminder to all of council that I sent out an email to you looking for your shirt sizes. So if you can come and see me, if you haven't already responded to me, if you can see me right after the meeting, so I can get that over to Brian Gregg. I still haven't heard back on this extra shirt that Councillor Coxero was asking for. Mr. Sweet has committed for some benches, and we're just waiting to see if there's any volunteers from the organization that will help. So I don't know if there's anything else that council wants to say about this particular event.
Councilor Coxero.
Through your worship, and actually a question to you, what is the status, or have you talked to Brian at the county here with regards to a hospitality suite?
I talked to him, and he told me the best night would be the Monday evening. There is a tour of the city, you know, restaurants and everything for people to go out to. But he figured the majority of the people, because Sunday night was such a big do, you know, the opening ceremonies and everything, that Monday would be the best night we could use. I've checked into a room, and it's too early to give me a yes or no.
Okay.
but I'm sure I'll get one.
Okay. Definitely a good idea, I think, to promote our wineries, at least within our municipality.
Okay, just before this young gentleman leaves the chambers, I failed to recognize a former warden and a member of our municipality, Mr. Davidson. Carl, glad to see you and your wife out here this evening. Thank you very much for coming. And Carly, who is that guy? Can you tell us? Sure, Grandpa, way to go. Thanks for coming out, Carl.
Item 11E, Mayor McDermott, speaking to the CAMA Long Service Recognition Award to Donna Hunter, Acting CAO and Director of Corporate Services.
This is one of those great events to have to speak about. Donna is wearing her pin. She went to give it to me and says, hey, you've got it, wear it. It's not too large, but it's a dandy. But anyways, this is from the Canadian Association of Municipal Association, also known as CAMA, recently advised us that our Director of Corporate Services, Donna Hunter, has received a long service recognition award for 15 years of municipal service. Donna has received her recognition pin, like I said already, and we just want to take a couple moments to recognize her contributions. Donna has had several job titles since coming to the town of Essex in 2002, and what a mess our Treasury Department was. Oh, I just heard about it on Main Street. I wasn't involved in politics then, but Larry, you were. You had a pretty good idea what was going on. But first and foremost, she has been the town's treasurer, in charge of ensuring financial stability and good business practices. Donna brings a high standard of excellence to her position and supports council and the administration in too many ways to count. Donna, on behalf of council and staff, I'd like to congratulate you on reaching this milestone, and I'd like to thank you for your ongoing service to our community. I present you with the pin, but you're wearing it. Okay.
Item 11F is Mayor McDermott speaking to Highway 3 safety concerns and urgent call for the province to widen Highway 3 from Essex to Leamington with the addition of the proposed motion that I circulated to council this evening.
Like we've all seen this, and we know what happened last week, just right around the corner here. And like I've had this drawn up by our staff, the resolution for the widening of Highway 3 to improve public safety. Whereas the late Bruce Crozier, as member of Provincial Parliament for Essex from 1993 to 2011, successfully advocated for the widening of Highway 3, which is now called Bruce Crozier Way, from Windsor to Leamington to address public safety concerns with this stretch of Highway 3. And whereas 2 phases of the 3-phase Highway 3 road widening project were completed by the Ministry of Transportation, but the 3rd phase of the project, covering the stretch of Highway 3 from the town of Essex to the town of Leamington, is based on our understanding, not currently in their short-term planning. And whereas a number of traffic accidents have occurred on the current 2-lane stretch of Highway 3 between Essex and Leamington, with the most recent fatal accident having occurred on April the 27th, 2016, just east of County Road 23. And whereas public safety concerns persist today as it relates to this heavily traveled section of Highway 3, which is a major transportation corridor for the industrial, agricultural, and commercial trade in southwestern Ontario. Therefore, be it resolved that the Government of Ontario be called upon to make it a top priority to complete the final phase of the Highway 3 widening project between Essex and Leamington, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Ministry of Transportation, the AMO, and to all municipalities within the province with a request for their support. And I'm prepared to sign this if we get a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? No. Thank you very much. All in favor? Oh, Councillor.
No, I was just going to say, Your Worship,
Yep.
that we've been after this for a long, long time, and the more, you know, seems like every year we lose a couple lives on this road, so we really have to push. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Item 12, notices of motion. Councillor Caxero, I believe you have 2 notices of motion for the next meeting.
Councillor Caxero.
Through your worship. First notice of motion is that when a decision of council includes implementation of an action item, that administration provide a reasonable implementation date at the time of the decision. Furthermore, failure to meet the implementation date without reasonable cause will result in documentation in the employee's personnel file for use in performance evaluation. And the second notice of motion is that administration be expected, unless otherwise noted, when asked for a report, that the report be available at the next regular meeting. Furthermore, failure to do so without just cause will result in documentation of the employee's personnel file for use in performance evaluation.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by? No,
Notice of motion.
no support. Okay, notice
For
of
next
motion.
meeting.
Sorry, yeah.
Item 13, bylaws. Item 13A, bylaws for third and final reading. Bylaw number 1505 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1037, the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the town of Essex, which received first and second reading at the April 18th regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1506 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 18th regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Vokes and supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Item 13B under bylaws, bylaws for first, second, and third readings. First item, bylaw number 1508, being a bylaw to enter in an agreement between the town and Her Majesty the Queen as represented by the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services. This is the Community Policing Partnership Program.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1509, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement between the town of Essex and Mitchell Scott and Rebecca Schinkel to demolish the existing home on said property after occupancy of a newly constructed dwelling.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councillor Snively. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1510, being a bylaw to enter in an agreement between the town and Kurt Joseph Zorn to demolish the existing home on the property after the occupancy of a newly constructed dwelling.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Malash, supported by Councillor Caxero. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Item 13C, bylaws for first and second reading this evening. First being bylaw number 1507, to establish tax rates and additional charges for municipal, county, and education purposes for the year 2016.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Caxero. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw 1511, being a bylaw to provide rules of procedure for the conduct of meetings of the municipal council and its committees and boards.
Moved by Councillor Vokes, supported by Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries.
And bylaw number 1512, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this May 2nd, 2016 regular council meeting.
Councillor Snively and Councillor Caxero. Any questions? On favor? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councilor Vokes, Councilor Cactero, any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. I was going to ask you if you had any comments. Good. Hold them till next meeting. Have a great evening.